Going. Going. Dark. We don't see you. Dog. Dog doing. Dog doing. How cool is that? Oh! Ooh! Oh! Sorry. Dog doing. What is dog doing? What? Just block me? Gonna what? Just getting blocked? Getting blocked? He's dead. He just died. Just died. He just died. He literally just died. Okay. We're going to listen to this thing now. Our thing. This thing. Schiele. I don't even know who that guy is.
Could not use making this video. You can find the full uncensored adult version on my
Adult version. He's going to swear and say fuck
below.
and poop and other stuff. Wait, am I in the right category? I am in the right category. The fellas.
Egon Schiele was one of the most intense and controversial
these paintings
artists
are cool.
of
I
the
never
early
seen
20th
that.
century. A shy, reserved child turned rebellious visionary. He scandalized Vienna with raw, often unsettling depictions of the human body.
Look
His
at that,
work is
all
filled with twisted forms and existential angst, reflecting an obsession with mortality, sexuality, and identity, especially his own. His self-portraits are unlike anything that came before them.
and all weird. There's all like this way he, like the body's like disgusting or something.
Contorted and
Contorted,
confrontational.
yeah.
With sunken eyes and twisted limbs, they were not intended to flatter, but to disturb. So what drove this young artist to depict himself so mercilessly?
He played too much video games. Like this game.
In this film, we'll explore how Schiele's extraordinary self-portraits reflect not just his own inner world, but the last throes of empire, a fascination with medical patients, the artistic ferment of fin de siècle Vienna, including the influence of Gustav Klimt, and even the unlikely effect of Javanese puppet theatre on his work. And we'll ask, why do these haunting images still grip us over a century later?
It's how he presents the body. He presents the body into like such a weird way. You know? It's like all distorted, like, the body seems sick. It seems like it's getting like in comfort.
As a child, Egon Schiele watched his father Adolf.
What is this
slowly
scene? Just a
disintegrate
guy on the
as
floor?
hallucinations and seizures took hold of
He's
him.
having a
His
seizure.
body jerking, convulsing into contorted
I
shapes.
shouldn't laugh. This is
It would
serious.
have a profound effect on the young Schiele. Born in 1890 in the small Austrian town of Tulln, just outside Vienna, his childhood was shaped by three things: trains, an early obsession with drawing, and the long shadow cast by his father's health. Schiele's father, his grandfather, even his older sister worked on the trains. And it was assumed
railway
Egon would follow the
workers.
same path. As a child, he spent hours sketching locomotives with incredible detail. But it wasn't so much the trains that drove his fascination.
That's
it was
like
drawing itself. The act of making images quickly became a refuge and an obsession. His father's humiliating mental and physical decline was due to the neurological effects of late-stage syphilis, a disease.
And at the time, how do
from
you
a
see those
prostitute
things?
on the night of his wedding?
Like,
He would die when Egon was just 14. While Schiele
Crazy.
never directly painted his father's death, it haunted his subjects. The frail body, the thin line between beauty and suffering, and the inescapable presence of death in life. The shame of his father's illness almost certainly contributed to Schiele's complicated attitudes towards sexuality. His work often connects eroticism and suffering, and there is a persistent undercurrent of desire, danger, and transgression in his work.
Oh, maybe there's this thing too, like in that sort of like art is like it's so distorted. There's like almost like a certain like not maybe shame or humiliation, but like there's a thing you watch this and you feel uncomfortable. It's like you know, it's like when you see like I mean, sex is not the same anymore, but there's a certain like Puritan like aspect to his painting. He's able to like play upon, you know, like all disgusting and like there's disgust coming from this.
For Schiele,
All these
the loss
colors
of
too.
his
There's a
father was
disgust.
devastating, and
Maybe.
he retreated further into drawing and painting, and even began to use his own self as a subject, as if he were trying to catch something hidden just beneath his own skin. This remarkable photograph of him as a teenage boy shows us the intense psychological world he was already constructing around his image. It seems as if it's a visual rehearsal for the role he would play in his paintings, as if he was sculpting a persona.
Ooh,
Schiele was a
that's
boy
interesting
shaped
too.
early-
You know, I feel like I don't know, like at that time, almost like those paintings were also like reflecting more the artist and the persona of the artist trying to achieve from the paintings they're making. You know, here there's like a really like it's about like subject and the subject is often himself.
on by death, intensity, and inward obsession. Traits that would
Ooh,
define
that's
both his
cool.
art and his short, haunted life.
Or
At
Slav.
just 16, Schiele was accepted into the prestigious Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, and at 17, he sought out and met his idol, Gustav Klimt, who, already established and 28 years older, would become his mentor. This early drawing by Schiele records their meeting. As we shall see, elements of Klimt's style can be found in many of
These
Schiele's
ornaments
early
and the
works
colors.
and drawings. In 1911, when Schiele was 21, Klimt introduced him to 17-year-old Wally Neusel, a working-class model. The two quickly became inseparable. Wally was both his partner and muse, posing for many of his most intimate and expressive works, and she became an essential part of the emotional and aesthetic core of Schiele's most radical work. What is most striking about her portraits is the look in her eyes. Wally's direct gaze showed her to be comfortable with herself and her sexuality, as she looks calmly and intimately at Schiele. This is one of the most famous paintings of Wally, showing her with unsentimental honesty, staring directly.
I feel there's also like here a thing that those paintings are way more about like they're more psychological than like physical. Like couldn't you say at the same time you had like Picasso like trying to have like figures and stuff like that, but the figures are way more about like, the physicality of all the angles. Where here it's more about like a certain like precision about like a reflection of the psychological of the characters. For instance, here or muse or whatever, or himself, you know.
At the viewer. It was painted as a counterpoint to Schiele's own self.
You know, but like at the same time, the body is still there, but the body here doesn't. The body here is trying to transmit the psychology behind or like the mind, instead of like the physicality, the of the body itself. You know, like a Picasso will maybe like put more emphasis on. Like maybe I'm wrong and I didn't know Picasso enough, but like I feel when I watch his paintings, it's not that much about like what the characters are thinking, but more about like the forms they're taking into the space. Well, maybe here with like Schiele, and I don't know Clint enough, but like there's a certain like a more aspect of like the psychology and like how can you like transfer those emotions into like the body forms, you know, like those colors. There's like a certain disgust about like the character himself or
one
something.
of his most celebrated
It's like dirty
works.
or something.
Both of them are confident, even define
Even how this guy talks about the painting. He talks about like personalities and attitudes and like emotions, kind of, you know,
but the paintings
self-esteem and
also reveal something fragile beneath the surface. The two
it's a
paintings
beneath
are
the surface like kind of deal.
and a statement of their bond and a relationship that would last 4 years. That was until he abruptly ended it to marry Edith Harms, a
Oh,
bourgeois woman he
the
considered
rich girl.
more respectable. His many
He
portraits
got the
of
rich
his
girl. He
wife
preferred the
were
rich
altogether
girl.
more modest than Sheila's usual depiction of
Yeah, that's
women.
like more impressionist
He asked Vali to stay
or
on
trad.
as his mistress, but she refused. In response to the end of their relationship, Schiele created one of his greatest paintings, which anyone who has been through the end of a love affair can connect with. They never saw each other again.
Ooh, it finished it there.
This is Brie. She went from idea to paying customers in 48 hours. No
Oh,
coding,
no
teams,
coding.
When an artist is making a self-portrait, they are looking into a mirror, asking, "Who am I?" Over his short lifetime, Schiele would go on to
Yeah, look at yourself and distort it to the max, dude. You know, a stable identity, that's not good to make like stuff like that. You need to distort it.
at least 170 self-portraits.
That's what you need to do,
And while
distort
many
yourself.
external influences and other artists shaped Schieler's work, it is significant that he and Sigmund Freud were working in Vienna at the same time.
Oh, that's cool.
Schieler's art emerged from the same cultural and intellectual climate that produced Freud's psychoanalysis, an era defined by a deep fascination with self-examination. Schieler's self-portrait
Self-examination in Freud is like a bit, I don't know, Freud, like, okay, before World War One, so it's like, industrial kind of ended as like the Dadaist, I think, at the same time too. Introspection, I guess that was a big introspection
read as Freudian
thing.
case histories in visual form. They strip away social masks, expose taboo desires, and make the unconscious.
That's why I'm saying there's like a certain like, I was saying like discuss shame, because you're like showing someone naked like to the max. There's like in comfort into that, like that transparency, maybe you could say. You know, there's like a you know, a shame or something about like just showing the things you're like you don't want to really see or something.
Visible in the body.
That makes
His
sense.
close friend and mentor, Gustav Klimt, didn't paint any works that he called self-portraits. So why did Schiele paint so many? And what makes them so different from those of his predecessors? One of the central reasons artists create self-portraits is to explore questions of identity and status. Many artists use self-portraits to elevate their social standing. In the Renaissance, Albrecht Dürer famously painted himself in the image of Christ, raising the status of the artist to something approaching the divine. And art
Christ.
saw a rise of self-portraits included in commissions, another comment on the artist's status in society. Then there's the technical aspect. Repeatedly observing the same face allows for artistic experimentation.
No, I think here it's just like they were. I think it was around after like Monet and stuff like that. They were like Van Gogh and all Monet that were like looking through stuff that cameras couldn't. So they were like, I'm going to put my experience of it as a painting, and that's why you have like some stuff like Van Gogh and Monet. And I guess one of the other ways you could explore landscape is through your own self, you know, and your own identity can become like a way to express and show
refinement.
a feeling.
For
you know,
others, it was about legacy.
like here there's like making a portrait is like more of a tool for social instance, where maybe like with his shield or whatever, the fact he was trying to like paint himself and the inner world and dissonance, maybe it would have. There's a more of a exploration here, maybe. There's an exploration more than like these portraits. They're not exploration about an idea. They're just like trying to convince they have pretty peacock tails, you know.
1980, Sir Joshua Reynolds' self-portrait
That makes
is a
sense.
deliberate nod to Rembrandt, a calculated exercise in personal branding. Artemisia Gentileschi, meanwhile, painted herself
Trying to sell yourself more, like maybe here with Schiele is more an exploration of the self.
Place in an art world that barely acknowledged women. But while this self-portrait by Vincent van Gogh is looking for our empathy or our understanding, this self-portrait by Schiele demands you face something raw and uncomfortable. It is a challenge. Schiele doesn't seem interested in sympathy, status, or legacy. Some have suggested it is down to narcissism. A fair point. His letters to his mother reveal a startling sense of entitlement, and his treatment of those closest to him, including his partner Wally, show a marked lack of empathy. But despite this, Schiele didn't use self-portraiture to celebrate himself, but to expose an inner truth. And whilst it emerged from the personal, it explored something much wider. He certainly wasn't flattering himself, in either subject or aesthetic. It is precisely his distorted use of line and composition that make his self-portraits so compelling. That and the proliferation.
It's an exploration of itself, I guess. And he decided to take the angle of like, oh, I could put like in comfort stuff.
Male nudes, a rarity in art. Schiele was academically trained and was a master draftsman. I think his line work is why his images still feel alive and immediate over a century later. Schiele's line is unmistakable. Even a fragment, a wrist, a cheek, a fold of cloth is recognizably his. That's because his line has a particular rhythm.
Those colors are cool.
Tense and economically placed. It's not just a means of describing form, it's a voice. When people describe Schiele's sureness of line, they don't necessarily mean smooth or conventionally graceful. In fact, many of his lines are jagged, angular.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable, like the body. There's like a distortion to it.
Decisive.
Yeah.
Any discussion of Schiele must start with the naked body. He used his own body repeatedly, showing it more emaciated than it actually was. Radically distorted and twisted, sometimes faceless or limbless, sometimes in abject terror, not to flatter, but to expose vulnerability, anxiety,
humiliation.
These are not likenesses, they are psychological portraits, a search for the self or the ego, a preoccupation of the time. They are often in an intersection between suffering and sex, as if he is disgusted with his own body. Outlined in black crayon, the brushstrokes visible, the technique as exposed as his inner being, eliminating everything except the body. Often
and you know what's interesting? How much could you even say that even with Freud, this search of what makes us us is like kind of a reaction to also like seeing the people becoming like they don't need humans as much. Now machines can like take over and like all that stuff. You can kill way more easily or something. I mean, the World War I was not there yet, but like this train of thought, you know, new technologies makes you put your self in question.
On
you know?
A blank background. Frequently,
so searching yourself or
to
something.
emphasize the outline. No indication of social standing.
But also like maybe like some sort of like a dissonance. It's like you have all this new technology coming there that seems like almost magic to the time, and yet you're still like disgusting people, you know?
Or character.
There's like a dissonance there.
Of which we learn nothing. Discarding centuries of ideas.
Like always, also maybe like a sort of like new way of thinking, maybe like at the same time, the beginning of like secularization or whatever. It's like always trying to hide all the sins and all the disgustness of who you are. And somehow like those explorations are kind of like going like, I guess now we can do those things. Now we have the permit to like do like more weird stuff.
Is centered around portraiture. Isolated figures focus our gaze, and the stark fragmented compositions suggest a search for control over a body and psyche that had witnessed disintegration firsthand, with the slow, painful death of his father from a sexually transmitted disease.
What?
It has been suggested that by portraying male nudes, Schiele was levelling up the male-female nude ratio. But many models of this period and before were poverty-stricken prostitutes and didn't have a choice. Schiele did. He controls how he is seen. In contrast to his distorted self-portraits, in his unposed photographs we see a more relaxed, handsome and fashionably dressed man. In this drawing, Schiele presents himself in a deliberately awkward...
That's also like the thing, yeah. I feel like if you're going to really study like a sense of like personality or whatever, can we say like the artist how he was too? Like yeah, paintings, but like I feel you need to compare it to like how he was presenting himself too, right? Like you say he was fashionable or somewhat.
The elbow
Don't we know like a bit more about the guy, the painter?
His shoulder, his ribs protrude. The line is confident.
Like it's supposed to be the subject here. He wants him to be the main subject. So it's like, can we like know a bit more about the guy itself? Does he have like, I don't know, journals or something to go alongside it?
And as was often the case, he avoided lush palettes, instead using ochres, browns, greens and pallid skin tones, suggestive of decay. This is not a natural pose. It's bordering on discomfort. His hands often take on as much psychological
It's like so
weight
skeleton,
as faces
you
in
know,
his
skeleton
portraits,
bodies.
sometimes exaggerated, angular, claw-like, or elongated to the point of distortion. They become the most expressive elements in his self-portraits, mostly in this peculiar V-shape, a pose he practiced in photos and one we see time and time again in his works, in a gesture conveying tension or visual expressions of something internal, deliberately and carefully choreographed. One of the last oil paintings Schiele did included one
Did
of
he
his
kill
last
himself?
portraits. His wife Edith was pregnant at the time with her first child, and they were comfortable, happy, and settled,
And he died.
unaware
And he
of the
died.
tragedy yet to come.
The war!
Schieler's body wasn't just a subject, it was a vehicle for expressing the tension and fragmentation of his time. His raw style was shaped by more than personal pain. He came of age in the final years of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, a sprawling, multi-ethnic state struggling with nationalist tensions, political fragmentation and looming...
How do you explain that pain through the body? I guess because like,
Vienna was
what is the thing that actually produce the pain? The body. So if we take the body and we explore it, well, then the body is the pain. So I think that's interesting too, right? How do you express the pain through your body? Okay. Well, if I can show the body, you can express the pain. You know, one step further. There's pain. There's the body. There's what that causes the pain. What's in between? Ah, the body. So you can have a certain like
between
boop.
the old imperial order and modern democratic movements. Culturally, it was a laboratory for psychoanalysis, radical art, music, and taboo-breaking literature. Modern ideas in technology, medicine, and the arts clashed with deep-rooted traditions. The self became a key site of exploration in both culture and science. Out of this chaos,
And I guess people were how do you explore the self from the pain? I guess.
La crème hydratante apaisante Davie, cliniquement prouvée pour une hydratation pendant 72 heures.
the Vienna Secession was formed in 1897 by a group of artists led by Gustav Klimt, who broke away from the dominant conservative style. Schiele immediately gravitated to Klimt's expressive works, and the secession motto, "To the age it's art, to art is freedom," reflected the modernism he would go on to embrace. You can clearly
Art is freedom, so I'm going to show the words.
see Klimt's influence in Schiele's early works, particularly in his use of pattern and decoration.
This is a good
The
painting.
younger artist quickly found his own artistic voice. Artists, writers, and others were coming of age at a turning point where everything, morals, politics, empires, felt unstable.
Everything was put in
Schiele's
question.
new, sparse figures often embody this instability. Twisted poses, tense gestures, bodies that seem in flux or under strain. They evoke not just personal discomfort, but something larger. the sickness and fragility of an entire society. But
Wow,
this
so
physical
deep.
imagery of illness and
So deep.
disintegration
We live in a
wasn't just
society,
metaphorical.
and
There
society
are
is living
symptoms of a
us
deeper obsession gripping Vienna.
deep.
Medical science. Sigmund Freud, father of psychoanalysis, reshaped ideas about the unconscious, repression, dreams and sexuality, challenging the belief that humans were ruled only by reason. In a society uneasy about sex and morality, his view of sexuality as central to life was met with repression. Artists turned inward. For Schiele, the erotic, pathological, intimate, and grotesque often overlap.
You know, somehow, like probably like Freud and all that psychoanalysts kind of just give a certain like, okay, you can explore those things now. It gives you a framework to explore it that way, which that's why maybe like it's easier to like explore those stuff.
Psychiatry wasn't the only.
You know, it's like now you have a friend that's like also exploring it into another field, so you're like, oh, that's fine. I can like also like do those steps towards like exploring those aspects of the mind, of the self.
In medicine at the time, the discoveries made in neurology were just as important. The medical journal Nouvelle Iconographie de la Salpêtrière was intended as a visual reference for neurological diagnosis. It was cutting edge. Medical photography was still new, and the images it published of neurological patients were unusually vivid, detailed, and staged. It became a curiosity collected by those outside the medical profession, and eventually an iconographic source for artists in their search for new ways of representing the body. Schiele's likely exposure to the journal came
I think another artist that did the same was Bacon, right? Bacon with his weird paintings were doing the same. He was like having like pictures of like the worst like stuff, like of medical stuff.
These medical networks, notably Dr. Erwin von Graf, a gynecologist who allowed Schiele to sketch patients at Vienna's women's clinic, and also through his studio mate Erwin Osen, who sketched at medical lectures. Having seen his father die of syphilis, Schiele's interest was personal. His work blurs the line between sickness and health.
I'm gonna inspire by the works, and I'm going to look at dead bodies.
And this fascination with bodily expression, gesture and identity would lead Schiele into new territory, one influenced not by medicine, but by movement, masks, and the performance traditions of distant cultures.
Oh, this music. Hey.
One of the more surprising influences on Schiele came from the painted puppets of Javanese shadow theatre.
Dude, that's cool.
His friend and patron, Arthur Rossler, collected these stylized figures, prized in the Viennese avant-garde for their ritualistic, mystical quality. At the time,
esotericism.
Richard Teschner was also adapting Javanese traditions for Viennese audiences, reinforcing their influence.
Oh, look at this.
Rossler recalled showing his collection of puppets to Schiele.
That's such cool, like, puppets. Oh, yeah, look at these, like, legs. It's esoteric. It's all skeleton.
Them for hours. It's hard not to see the connection between Schiele's
the movement
and the bent limbs and angular and flattened silhouette shapes of these puppets.
Yeah, the puppets were sick.
Empty or negative space. In some early self-portraits, Schiele's hands seem to manipulate himself like a puppet, creating a tension between control and collapse.
Oh!
The theatricality of the Javanese performance.
And there's probably a thing about, oh, control and the pain of my body. Society, I'm such a puppet. Scandal. I hope he didn't fuck
Any
it.
film about Schiele must confront controversy. As he pushed artistic boundaries, he pushed social ones too. Schiele lived with his partner Wally for 4 years, but they weren't married, which in early 20th century society was considered deeply scandalous. Struggling financially, they left Vienna and moved to the small town of Neulenbach. But the conservative community soon clashed with his eccentric behavior and provocative art, alarming locals and feeding.
Don't question me. This is not. what you're doing, it goes against my rituals I got to learn about. I cannot do that. I'm too old for this, like, new kid stuff. I don't want to be questioned.
Suspicion.
I want my rituals.
Tensions reached a breaking point.
I don't want
He was
to,
arrested and
my
charged
rituals are my comfort. Please don't question them.
Though he was acquitted of that serious charge, he was convicted of displaying indecent drawings where children could see them. He served 24 days in
Show
jail.
them to children.
Whether his motives were purely artistic or something more sinister remains debated, but his behavior caused real unease. Acknowledging this uncomfortable dimension is essential.
You know, it's like it's already uncomfortable to make their body, and then he's like, I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to put children as subjects.
Justify it, but to understand both the radical nature of his art and the moral complexities it raises for us as viewers today. Not least, the debate between art and exploitation. During his imprisonment, Volley stood by him, visiting regularly.
Wait, I want you to go back. He went to prison because he showed his art to children, or did he use children like?
Schiele was arrested and charged with allegedly seducing a minor. Though he was acquitted of that serious charge, he was convicted of displaying indecent drawings where children could see them. He served 24 days in jail.
Don't go for the kids,
Whether his
dude.
motives were purely artistic or something more sinister remains debated, but his behavior caused real unease. Acknowledging this uncomfortable dimension is essential. Not to justify it, but to understand both the radical nature of his art and the moral complexities
He was
it raises.
maybe he was fucked up that way, but like maybe at the same time, I'm sure he was like, I can go even further. What's even the purest thing? Children are pure. I'm going to make it fucked up.
For us as viewers today, not least the debate between art and exploitation.
There's that too.
During his imprisonment, Volley stood by him, visiting regularly and offering her support. Her loyalty was not repaid.
Fucking bitch. I had a wife going like through all of that, going to prison, and he didn't care.
1914, the world was swept into a vicious war. Then in June 1915, Schiele ended the relationship with Volley and married the respectable middle-class Edith Harms, just days before being conscripted for the war.
Goodbye, wartime.
He avoided frontline combat and by 1917 was transferred to a barracks near Vienna, where he mainly did clerical work, which left him time to draw these extraordinary portraits
of soldiers,
officers,
that's
and
sick.
Soldiers.
That's kind of sick.
His close friend and mentor, Gustav Klimt, died in February 1918 after a stroke and pneumonia, 9 months before the end of the war. Then, just as the war was drawing to a close, another deadly force would claim at least 50 million lives across Europe. In October 1918, the Spanish flu swept through Vienna, and within days, Edith was dead. She was 6 months pregnant. 3 days later, Schiele followed her. He was only 28 years old.
Ads.
Egon Schiele created some of the most psychologically charged and emotionally intense works of the early 20th century. In his self-portraits, themes of eroticism, mortality, and the fragility of the human condition are laid bare with unflinching honesty. His distorted figures and expressive lines still provoke outrage and fascination because they strip away comfort and force us.
It reminds me of like some Tim Burton movie, you know?
Schiele, the body was
it's like Christmas Halloween thing.
Emotional truth.
You know, it's kind of that.
By turning his own image
Emotional
into a kind
truth.
of allegory, he spoke not only of himself, but of the anxieties, desires, and wounds of the world around him, around us. Schiele unsettles us, and perhaps that is his greatest skill. To be unsettled is to question, and to question is to feel alive.
Wow, deep. Deep, so deep. So deep, questioning makes me alive. I'm so alive. That was really good. I love this. David Bowie. What did he do? Look at these sits. Look at the sound. All the old synths like that sounds so good. I was like watching some Moog stuff. They're so cool. Oh, look at the scene. How cool that is. He looked like a Kraftwerk guy. Dripped, bro. Look at this shirt. Ow.
The rest of my life.
What? It's 40 minutes? Okay, well. Is there like a timestamp of the songs?
On guitar, Adrian Blue. Percussion, Dennis Davis. Bass guitar, George Murray. And rhythm guitar, as always, Carlos Alomar. It's a song of somewhat schizophrenic nature called Beauty and the Beast.
Oh! Somewhat of a schizophrenic nature, Beauty and the Beast. What does that mean? Which album? Oh, it's song from Eros and so like that, okay. So funky! I don't remember this song being that groovy. Oh, what are you doing? Wait, can I wanted to do the real song. If it's as groovy. Look, this cover looks so sick!
There's something in the night, something in the day. Nothing is wrong, darling, someone's in the
Bowie's so cool. Oh, heroes, let's go. Oh, look at this. Look at these letters. I just love that aesthetic of early like electronics. W. Queen. We can beat them just for one day. Am I crazy when I never heard how groovy his bass are? It's so funky. Bow, bow, bow. Now it makes sense, like why I had this friend that really was into Bowie, but also into like Stevie Wonder and stuff like that. I think what he really liked it was that grooviness. I don't know why, but I never like went into Bowie into the grooviness. Somehow I was listening more for the melody itself. Yeah, you need to follow a bit the bass more, I think. Kind of cool, just the clouds going around like that. Remember. Again, his live show doesn't sound like the album at all. It sounds way more like normal, like groovy funk stuff. We're playing Doom? Are we playing Doom now?
Crash in the sand, she won't let go of his hand. Let yourself go. Oh, my TV's on fire.
Un instant avec la vaisselle.
Okay,
Oh,
you
mais
lost me.
attendez.
Goodbye, ad. Goodbye, ad. Goodbye, ad. Okay! Doom time! Let's kill some fucking demons and explode the shit out of them. And I'll be fine. I'll leave forever. Doom. Doom! Being in life, I heard it in a dream.